Hello friends, how's it going? Are you okay, mate? Are you? Hope you are. Really do hope that, and welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea and indeed the mood, which I want to get into a little bit today actually, giving you my thoughts on it, but as always, more importantly asking for yours, because here at Football Therapy it is and always has been a community thing. I don't just want to be the guy, the face. It's not, you know, Jan's Football World or whatever. I did want it to be like a bit more of an analytical, philosophical channel from 2018-19 when I made it. And that remains the same. Actually, I just want to take a moment. I was reflecting earlier driving that I am so grateful of, and this is going to sound a little bit lame, but I am super grateful for the community that's been cultivated on this channel. Like, not just largely here in the comment section, but you know, if I bump into someone who recognizes me and knows the channel, or if I on my social media on Instagram, people will be like say nice things in DM requests, and it's so easy to like robotically take it for granted and like, oh yes, it's how it works. You have a sort of public presence and people that like you and they say it, and you sort of like become, you know, immune to it. In the same way, you'll get nasty comments and you can just, you know, brush that away as well. But you shouldn't brush away the positivity. And I just want to extend thanks to everyone who, you know, comes back and enjoys it and wants to hear what I have to say. So, I suppose a really lame and soppy introduction to the video. Apologies to those of you who don't want to hear that. But for some that appreciated it, I wanted to say it. So in today's video, I will be talking about some stuff being said. I'll do the mood. I'll start off with a bit more of the Chelsea fan mood, which is important to, I don't know, react on. A little bit of transfer news as well. Mathys Tel, it looked like he said goodbye to the Bayern Munich fans, didn't he, in that Champions League mania night yesterday. Plenty of clubs looking at him. Garnacho isn't dead in the water, but I will start the transfer section talking about The Athletic published an article this morning on what business each club should be doing, and Simon Johnson did a segment on Chelsea, so we'll get into that. As always, if you want to support the content, just drop a like on the video if you like the content. Also subscribe if you want to, hit the bell if you choose to, and Football Therapy and Goat Gang merch now live on footballtherapy.shop, all products underneath this video. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about Chelsea a little bit more generally, because fans are really, I mean, I don't go on Twitter. I deleted my Twitter a very long time ago. I just didn't really enjoy it much. And I popped up. I do have a burner account that I cite some stuff on now and again, which is just not me. It's just a dead account that I follow some journalists and stuff. But I have seen, and understandably, Chelsea fans are really upset. The mood is very, very negative at the moment, and I get it. I get why. It's because of the recent run of form. 1 win in 7 games is very, very bad and concerning. And even that win against Wolverhampton Wanderers, you'd have to say that wasn't the most, well, I would say it's not the most convincing performance. In fact, I think we had better performances in draws and losses than that game. So it's bad. And I'm not going to try and sugarcoat anything or put a positive spin, which sometimes I get accused of doing. But I do want to just have a look at things more generally and then talk about the danger we're in right now. So where are we on January the 30th at time of recording? Well, we're 6th in the Premier League on 40 points. 1 point behind both 5th and 4th in Newcastle City and Man City. And we are 4 points behind Nottingham Forest, which I'll be very intrigued to see in the final 15 games of the season if they can keep that spot. Of course, they just got beaten heavily, or if they will start sliding as well. It does look like top 5 is Champions League for Chelsea this season. So we're a point off Champions League qualification. And I'm just quickly, I've just pulled up odds checker. I mean, Chelsea are 1-7 to finish in the top 6. So let's just do top 4. So I've just checked. Chelsea is still odds on to finish top 4, 17-20, which is very, very strong and significantly stronger than the next in Newcastle. Forest are actually worse than 3-1 to finish in the top 4, which feels kind of wild now. So the bookmakers are saying, yeah, Forest aren't going to do it. But remember, it's top 5. There's still a very, very strong chance Chelsea finish in the Champions League, which we would have to say, no matter what, is mission accomplished. Absolutely. Enzo Maresca, who I don't think he's got people, many people are on the fence. A lot of people think he's done quite well. He was saying when Chelsea are winning, absolutely don't talk about us with title contenders. I don't need to see wins or losses. I just need to see a team, and I know we're not there, which actually might seem pretty intelligent now in terms of squad building for what he wants to do. So top 4 will absolutely be mission accomplished. Of course, we're expected to win the Conference League, which I've kind of nailed my colours to the mast. I really quite like being in it personally. I think it's a unique opportunity to win that final trophy and, just slap about some teams. And I don't want to do it every season, but I was okay with it for this season. So if we qualify for the Champions League next season, and these young Chelsea team players lift the trophy in the Conference League, I personally will see that as a successful season. Yeah. So, and I think we're on for that still, but that doesn't necessarily suggest we're going to arrest this really worrying slide. The mood is very, very negative because Chelsea aren't signing players. Before the season, we were like, we won't do anything in January. Why would we need to? Maybe a couple of exits, and that could be a big criticism legitimately thrown at Chelsea this January, because Ben Chilwell for me is just a glaring example. Calling Trev back was a good thing. The sporting directors swallowing their pride and bringing him back, it was helpful. But we were never going to do what we did before with that big January spend. It seemed like there's not much value in the January window. We don't want to look like we're desperate for a player, etc., etc. Now, really, if you think about it, Chelsea, where are we desperate positionally? Well, I would say goalkeeper, and I've been pretty firm on this, as has many people. Chelsea won't sign a goalkeeper in January, and you shouldn't, because you're not going to get... We want to get it right this time. Some guy that can do it long term. Maybe that's earmarked for Mike Penders, the young lad, long term, but the best thing we can do is just put Jorgensen in for the moment, for optics. So we're not going to sign a goalkeeper. You could say striker, and you think of the few usual suspects. Well, John Duran's going to Saudi, which is, in my opinion, a big shame for a 20-year-old or 21-year-old, however old he is. But hey, you want to get the bag, you get it. There's Benjamin Sesko, which would be hard to do. Gyökeres, which is only the release clause, which is 100 million. And guys, it's worth reminding you that when you trigger a release clause, you don't do what Chelsea did, for example, with Caicedo, or certainly Enzo Fernandez, where we pay 30 million for the first year and then 20 million every year after that. When you trigger a release clause, you pay it all up front. You put the money on the table. For example, like Man City did for Jack Grealish. And there'll be other examples around Europe as well. So it would be, get Gyökeres, he'd have to agree to come to Chelsea first of all. We'd have to be like, you'll be our starting striker. We're going to be really good. Come join us. And if you can convince him and give him enough wages, more wage, we won't be able to give him more wages than United or Arsenal, but if we offer him good wages with an incentive structure that he agrees, we'll still have to pay 100 million up front. Whereas the summer fix Gyökeres, which he could still go to United, it will probably be a 60-70 million pound transfer fee, and then it will be negotiated like a normal transfer where you can pay in installments, which of course every club wants to play in installments because it represents the opportunity to protect yourself and FFP rules, PSR rules, right? So that's the situation with Gyökeres. Apparently Osimhen you can't get out in January. So it's tough. It's really effing tough. The only thing you could really say is making Ipswich an offer they couldn't refuse with Delap. How excited would that get the Chelsea fans? And we do need a left winger, I agree. It does look like we might still go in for Garnacho at the end. I hope he doesn't get abused if we do sign him and he gets the support of the Chelsea fans. And that would be because of the Mudryk situation. But if we don't, Tariq George, I know he hasn't scored yet, but he's a good young player and he could offer cover as a winger. And then we've still got 4 wingers in 2 positions. And we're not, we don't play frequent games now because we don't play in Europe until March now. So, we could cover that. So it's really important I understand totally, and I'm not saying I'm really happy. I'm the same as everyone else. I'm super annoyed and disheartened and everything, and I want, I want this to arrest this form. You know, God forbid we lose to Graham Potter's West Ham on Monday. Like, imagine just the visceral reaction that I myself and everyone else will have naturally. You know, more power to Graham Potter. I've got nothing against him, bro. It just didn't work out. But yeah, my God, you imagine that, man. So let's get into some of this transfer news then. This is on the New York Times / The Athletic. Simon Johnson's segment for Chelsea writes like this about who we could sign in January. You could argue it's actually quite difficult to say what Chelsea need the most right now, given they're struggling in so many areas on the pitch. Chelsea have ruled out signing another goalkeeper or defender. Goalkeeper we've discussed. Defender, fair enough. We've brought back Trevoh Chalobah. We trust Joshua Chiampong at times to start important games. We've got, you know, Levi, Tosin, and players like Badiashile and Wesley Fofana will return at some point this season. So that's a lot of centre-backs in a campaign, like I said, where we don't actually play in Europe till March. Fine. I can dig it. Do you know what I mean? Even though, whatever, we've not played great. And Reece James is back and can tuck in and all this kind of stuff. And so Chelsea are looking at a left-sided winger, Garnacho, striker, we'll see about Mathys Tel, although so many suitors now, and possibly a midfielder, so let's use that as a starting point. All three have their arguments as a priority, but another wide player does not address the biggest concern. Even though Mykhailo Mudryk is a risk of a lengthy ban, should of course his B sample come back and he gets banned for a substance, Chelsea should recall just one of Andre Santos at Strasbourg or Leslie Ugachukwu from Southampton, from their loans to strengthen midfield, of course, to help Lavia, who's seemingly always injured, and Moises Caicedo. For me personally, I know the best player in that out of those two, of course, is Andre Santos. Huge ceiling, all-action midfielder that can do it all, score goals. I personally see him covering for Enzo Fernandez in that left pocket role. For me, Leslie Ugachukwu is the perfect, you know, help for Moises Caicedo in terms of profile. Also, as well, you bring Leslie back. Southampton, even though he's playing well for Southampton now, Southampton are getting relegated. Andre Santos is part of a really good moment in Strasbourg on upturn in form, as is Georgi Petrovic and Wiley, well, if he's not injured or whatever, and so Diego Moreira, who we sold there. Let them just do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if Fernandez was injured, we really were lacking that player, then yeah, Chelsea comes first, bring back Santos. All things considered, Leslie Ugachukwu makes the most sense. So that's the midfielder. So process by elimination, we really need to concentrate on their financial resources, on finding more goals. Yes. Up top, and someone to take the pressure off Nico Jackson. Yeah, Nico Jackson, a striker who I think if you're being reasonable, you're very happy we've got, but if you're also being reasonable, you recognise there's just too much reliance on him, and it makes him to the point where he underperforms, I think. A centre forward usually is the most expensive of all, particularly in a January transfer window when clubs don't want to sell, understandably. But the team would get in a real lift if, for example, Ipswich Town frontman Liam Delap arrived. Chelsea have a good view they had a good view of the problems Delap caused them when the 21-year-old inspired a 2-0 victory against them, winning a penalty, scoring a goal as well, didn't he? He tore us apart, Liam Delap. It reminded me of when Chelsea were playing bad and Diego Costa would just win a game for us. That's kind of like how I saw Delap that day. He's 21, of course, as well, and has played for Enzo Maresca really well for the U23s at Man City, just like Lavia did. Just like Cole Palmer did. Was a Sancho there? Or was Sancho a bit too old? Maybe. Just like Jackson, he can give Chelsea an outball. He can run in behind down the channels. Plus, he obviously scores goals. Yeah, I'd like it. It's not like the most exciting, sexy, big, high-profile signings, but I've been hurt with Nkunku. And Nkunku, kind of. I was going to say Lukaku, who, you know, is a good, high-profile player, but so many problems. So, you know, Cole Palmer wasn't a high-profile signing at all, but he was the perfect signing. These guys do exist, and it could be Liam Delap. You know, he knows Palmer well as well. There's links all over the gaff. So, yes. There's lots to talk about in what's available, guys. First of all, let's talk about Garnacho. Chelsea did not give up on Garnacho. They're expected to move in the final days of the window. This is coming from L'Equipe Journaliste. I think he, again, if we don't waste the bag on Alejandro Garnacho, and this is in the view that Mudryk's on the way out, I really don't have a problem with it. I've seen flashes of Garnacho that can be really, really devastating. Actually, at his time as a first-team player, as a U23 or U21 player, he's got like the most goal involvements in all competitions. He just plays for Man United, who are dog shit. I think he come across as a bit of a knob, Garnacho. I've said that, but that's kind of fine, isn't it? Because we're sort of lacking that with Chelsea a little bit. He is devastating in terms of running on the break. He's pacey. He's not scared to take shots on, which I like. So he's kind of the opposite of Sancho. He really is the opposite of Sancho, because Sancho is really technical. He can slow the game down, do 1v1s and make goals, provide assists. Garnacho's more like run the F out of you, at you, and just constantly try and score on goals, and he'll try the audacious, like he'll score like an absolute worldy overhead kick. Like I've said that we don't have that in the squad. I'm not on my knees for Garnacho, but I'm just using it as an example of I would certainly support the player should we sign him, and it does look like we might try. Why? So let's talk about Mathys Tel. He did do the little lap of appreciation to the Bayern Munich fans yesterday when they won 3-1 in the Champions League. It looks like he's leaving, yeah. Fabrice Hawkins, journalist for RMC Sport, journaliste, he says this. Aston Villa l'adresse à Mathys Tel après la départ. I'll do it in English. Aston Villa are interested in Mathys Tel after John Duran's departure to Al Nassr. Several Premier League clubs would like to sign the striker. Tottenham are pushing. Manchester United and Arsenal are there. No mention of Chelsea. In the event of a definitive transfer, Bayern's hoping between 50 and 60 million for Mathys Tel. Well, I just want to quickly say 50 million euros is 41, nearly 42 million pounds. So let's say 42 million pounds. I mean, 42 million pounds for a player that you need-ish in January, for a permanent, for a young 19-year-old who you'd put on a very long deal, should he agree on these Chelsea long deals, which would protect, I know this is wanky, you don't want to hear it, but protect him as an asset financially. Basically, you're not doing an idiotic business move, yeah? That's what that means. He divides opinion, Mathys Tel, because he's a 19-year-old who can play as a striker or a left winger, which is kind of like Jackson in many, many ways. But he's very good and he's another option. I will be very, very firm on, like I have been on my opinion with this. Tel over no Tel. Yeah? That's how I feel. Nkunku, I've had enough of Nkunku. Like, you know, I really don't care. If he goes, I wish him all the best. He's an amazing footballer. I'm never going to change my stance on that. But look, it's not working. Whatever. Romano has reiterated Fabrice Hawkins' reports, which I just read to you about Villa trying to look at him to replace John Duran. The Bayern director, Max Eberle, says, yes, Mathys Tel wants to go. Loan or permanent, we will assess all options. I've rarely had so many clubs call me about one player before. The 19-year-old forward is very, very, very highly rated. Just 2 hours ago, Romano also said Chelsea is still there, but for a permanent deal. So we're not looking for a loan. Man United apparently have called them up for a loan deal. Tottenham are open to a permanent transfer like Chelsea. Now, the interesting thing with Mathys Tel is he wants to play. He wants to be convinced. There was stories going around suggesting that he wasn't sure about Chelsea because he thought the competition was fierce. So the competition is represented by striker and left wing. So I don't know why he's thinking that, because striker, Nkunku's going to be on the way out. It's you and Jackson, unless you're frightened of Gu. And left wing, if Mudrik's gone, bro, then it's you and Sancho. And to be honest, you might find yourself in a position, if you want to play left wing, you're starting at left wing, and you're like hopefully a better goal scoring left winger than, a Sancho or whatever. I like Sancho. I would start Sancho, no problem. But he's a different kind of player. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know why he's looking at Chelsea, who need a new personnel up front to score goals, thinking, I don't know. And if he does want to be a striker, yeah, then he shouldn't prioritise Tottenham. Firstly, because Tottenham are just all up in the air. Maybe they'd pay him higher wages at the moment. Tottenham, they generate a lot of high revenue. They pay good wages. But Dom Solanke's going to come back, and he is their starting striker. Solanke is the Kane replacement. He's good, Dom Solanke. He cost them £60 million. I think he's their record signing. He's 27 years old. He turns 28 at the mid of September, so the beginning-ish next season. He's not going anywhere as a striker. And I suppose left-sided, Son's getting old. Timo Werner is Timo Werner. So maybe that's what he's thinking. But to be honest, bro, he should be looking at Chelsea. Hashtag bias. Many of you might not be overly excited about this, but like I said, I'm hoping that if it does come down to negotiation and Tel just wants to leave regardless, and then Chelsea instead of buying, look, Max Erbel, the aforementioned, you really want Nkunku? You can have Nkunku for... I mean, we're overcharging for Nkunku, but they're probably saying £10 million and Mathys Tel. Nkunku's high profile. Nkunku gets called up, scores for the France national team. Tel's never been called up. So there is that, but of course there's the age profile and resellability and all that kind of stuff, which Tel has and Nkunku hasn't. And just the fact how loads of clubs are calling up about Tel, and only Man United is looking for a loan for Nkunku or Bayern. I'm just hoping it gives us the edge. But as always, let me know what you think, guys. Please do comment down below. I'll be really interested to hear your thoughts and feelings. Drop a like, subscribe if you want to. Check out the merch if you want some new merch and looking good in the apparel. And of course, I'll as soon as something pops, I'll be here to react. So I look forward to seeing you back. Peace.